go.
Hello, welcome to Teacher Stories. Do you sometimes wonder what education is like in other countries, especially in Africa? You wonder what education is like. Do the teachers in other countries experience similar challenges as we do here in Nigeria? Okay, so today we're going to be hearing from a Malawian educator, and he's going to be sharing with us experiences, challenges, his passion, his motivation as an educator in Malawi. My name is 𝗬𝗲𝗰𝗵𝗶 and I am your host. And with me, as always, is my co-host, Miss 𝗂𝗲𝗰𝗵𝗶. Miss Mary, it's good to have you here. Miss
Good
Mary,
evening,
can you hear me?
everyone. Yes, I can hear you. Good
Awesome.
evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining.
Welcome, Miss Mary. We feel like we're going to Malawi today.
Yeah, you definitely are in
Yes.
Malawi.
I
I'm
feel like
already
I'm
in
already in
Malawi.
Malawi. The
Same
name
here.
sounds really nice. Okay, let's meet. His name is Zik Ishmael Robin. He's a registered science teacher from Malawi in South Africa. He teaches chemistry, mathematics, physics, technical drawing, and other technical subjects. He has a Bachelor of Science in Technical Education obtained from the Malawi Polytechnic in 2022. He's also huge on music. He sings, he produces, and plays several instruments. He also has knowledge about everyday to day teacher duties. Okay, so let us welcome Mr. Isaac Robin. Mr. Isaac, you're welcome to Teacher Stories.
Thank you so much for having. This is truly an honor.
Yes, it's a privilege to have you share your story with us on Teacher Stories today. At least you're going to give us the opportunity to feel what educators in Malawi feels. You're going to be our eyes, you're going to be our ears, you're going to be um, telling us what it's like to teach in Malawi or to be an educator in Malawi. So this is how we start on Teacher Stories. Please tell us, how did you start? How did you become a teacher?
Um, Hi everyone. So I hope you can hear me still.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
That's
please.
perfect. So my journey to becoming a teacher has been mm, unconventional, to say the least. Um, I never imagined myself teaching. If if I'm to be honest, I I wasn't planning on becoming a teacher.
Okay.
So maybe to just give a brief summary of how it happened. Um, I got selected to the Polytechnic. It should be in 2015, and my courses of choice or my programs of choice were engineering and everything else like that. Um, so I got redirected to do technical education. At that moment, I had no idea what technical education was. So as you might probably guess, I was confused. I did not want to go do the course and everything else like that. But eventually, I went to school, uh, started doing my courses and everything else like that. I think my biggest issue was the teaching part because we had to go teaching as during our internship. So um, I finished my school in the third year. Before I finished, we went for internships. I think that's when I had first-hand teaching experience. Um, so let me say that it's been a journey of growth. So I've come from not loving being a teacher to a point where now I consider it as part of who I am. I think I just needed a nudge in the right direction. Mm. There are few things on this earth that give me joy, uh, like seeing somebody succeed because I've instructed them. So as much as I wasn't planning on becoming a teacher, right now I love my profession. I've been teaching for close to 5 years. This will be my 6th year now, and I must say that teaching is nothing like I thought it would be as a sport. So yeah, briefly, that's how I became a teacher.
Okay. So Isaac, we will need you to speak a little bit louder so we can hear you more and clearly. If
Okay,
that's
that's all
okay,
right.
sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So your story is similar to mine. I wasn't interested in teaching either. I don't know how I got into the teaching profession, but I did. And I'm currently loving it. I wasn't into it at the beginning, but then now I'm into it. So, like I said, you are going to be giving us some kind of picture, helping us understand what education is like in Malawi. So, tell us how do you find the teaching job there? How are the children's behavior or your learners' behavior? What is the structure like? Because this is teacher stories. We are open to talk about a lot of things. We talk about our challenges from structure. By structure, I mean facility, and then to other structures, especially administration. So, if you can you tell us what it's like in Malawi?
Where to begin? Education in Malawi, I can say that it's similar to how it is in most African countries.
Okay.
Um, there are huge disparities. We have
Okay.
amazing international level schools, and then at the same time we
Mm.
also have schools on the impoverished end of the spectrum, you know, um, and everything else in between, and everything else in between. Education in the urban areas in Malawi, I can say that it is fairly decent in most cases. Like I said before, international standard in some cases, but
Okay.
the majority of the schools here, I can say that they are government schools, which they are good in urban areas, still have a few things lacking here and there, but pretty decent. And then when you go to villages and whatnot, there's just a lot that is lacking. Um,
Okay.
I can't say that education here is where it is supposed to be. We have a long way to go to get to the levels
Okay.
that are really sustainable. You know, education must be sustainable. Education must be up to date. Education must help people solve relevant problems and everything else like that. So I feel like we are not there yet. We are not where we used to be because things used to be pretty bad. Right now we are catching up, but we still have a long way to go. So in summary, I can say that's where Malawian education is. Um, I stand to be corrected there, but this is from my experience as a teacher. Yeah, looking at the things I've experienced throughout my teaching journey, and now I can say that there's lots to be desired, but it's not as bad as it used to be. That is looking at the education aspect, the infrastructure, and whatnot. Not getting into the behavior aspect because I think that's a different aspect on its own. You know, you might have the infrastructure, but then um, the students' outlook on school and their behavior is a different issue altogether. So I think I'll explain a little bit more about that later. But for now, I think a summary of the Malawian education system. I think I will leave it at that.
Okay. Okay, I see that a lot of people have joined us. Welcome, Miss Joyce. Thank you for always being a very supportive partner. Okay, so educators are partners. So thank you for always coming on teacher stories and supporting us here. Thank you, teacher prep. I'm guessing you aren't in my own side of the world. He or she is complaining of an echo from me. Okay, so hopefully we'll work that out. Hi, Miss Fola, thank you for joining us. Okay, so if you're just coming across Teacher Stories channel for the very first time, please subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and share the link with friends, because we intend to share our story. We intend to keep talking about how best to make our education system better. So from what you have said, Mr. Isaac, I'm trying to picture it to look um like a Nigerian school. Okay, so you go from you have the urban, and then you have the rural, schools, and you can compare the structure in in both settings. So the ones in the urban, cities, or the urban section of the country looks better than the ones in the rural section. So it's okay. So what about the teachers? Do you have enough hands to teach other subjects? Because when you send your profile, you are the only one teaching chemistry, you are teaching physics, you are teaching technical drawing, just one teacher. Do you teach part-time, or you teach all the subjects in one school?
Okay, so maybe let me start with tackling the first question. You said, what about the teachers? And I believe you're referring to the ratio, the teacher to student ratio.
Yes, to
How
teacher to
how is
student.
it decided? There is no one sure answer to that, because in some cases, some schools do have adequate teachers. The ratio is pretty good. At the same time, there are other schools that just have so many students. Population growth is one recurring issue here. So there are so many people looking for education in at the same institutions and whatnot. So we have so many people learning, and in some cases, the teacher to student ratio is not as good. We have one teacher teaching maybe several subjects to maybe hundreds of students at a time.
Okay.
But as I said, in other schools, they do have sometimes even more than enough teachers. There's this thing about people or teachers, some at least, wanting to stay in urban areas. So most of the times it's the urban schools that are maybe adequately staffed compared to those that are in the rural areas. It, it can get pretty bad. Some areas, you teachers have to look at the welfare of thousands of students. Yeah, so I think I can sum it up like that. In my case, currently, I'm not teaching at the school I was teaching at, but when I was there, I was the one who was handling the senior secondary
Okay.
physics and chemistry, and sometimes I would teach additional mathematics. So as much as I can also teach technical drawing and the technical subjects, at that specific school, we didn't have such technical subjects, because that's another issue here. Technical subjects are far and wide in between. We don't have them in all secondary schools. In fact, the majority of schools do not have technical subjects. So
Okay.
those subjects are reserved for specific schools. So as much as I do have the expertise, but since I graduated, I I have not taught technical subject in a school. So that's that. But as I said, I was in charge of physics and chemistry. So if you know anything about physics and chemistry, they are practical subjects.
Yes.
They involve lots of practicals and
Yes.
whatnot. So yeah, it was a challenge at times to manage two classes in which I taught both of the subjects, physics, chemistry, and whatnot. But I managed to get by. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well done, sir. That's good to know. So it's similar to what we have here. The ratios to the ratio of teacher to students is similar. Sometimes you have more teachers. Um, in other cases, you have more students. And I think that's a huge responsibility when only you have to teach chemistry, physics, mathematics, technical drawing, and you're teaching them to a lot of other students, not just one child. So it's a similar issue, which means we need more teachers, or don't you think so? Is there some sort of campaign for more teachers in Malawi?
Mm. Yeah, we do need more teachers. And if I'm to be honest, my case wasn't even half as bad because there are other
Okay.
schools where people were doing much more work than I. I was privileged to be teaching at an urban school. It's in the urban areas. So I think the most I had per class was 80 something students. So I I would teach 80 something students from one class. So as much as it was hard, but
Yeah.
others have it even tougher than that. Others have more students than that. To just give perspective, during the national exams, I would be done with my classes maybe by 1 or 2 p.m. and that is after starting in the morning. But in other cases, in other schools, they would be writing the same exam even to midnight, sometimes
Wow.
even in the morning hours, just to give you perspective of how many students they had to deal with. So
Hold
my
on, sir.
case
Hold
wasn't
on.
even
Hold
as
on.
bad.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you
Please,
just fine.
can you repeat that? You write the exams till late in the night?
No, okay. Yeah, I was saying that in some cases, other teachers have to administer exams to late in the night, sometimes even in the AMs, because of the sheer number of students they have to deal with. So my case wasn't even bad. Mine was manageable. It was a lot of work. I'm not gonna belittle that, but compared to other cases, mine was fair. Yes.
Okay. I've taught 85 students in a class, and I think that was about 2021, 2022. I had 85 students in the class, and I had to teach 3 arms. So that's 85 multiplied by 3. Um, and then when my colleague is around, she also does 3 arms. I'll have to step in for a while. So that's 85 students. Some classes will have 90, 95. I've also taught some large classes before. So, but God is helping us. That's all I can say. That God is helping us in Africa. And one of the reasons I think that we don't have more teachers is because the salary is low, right? Is that the
Mm.
case in Malawi? Is the salary encouraging, or is low like over here for those of us who work in public sector? Some private schools are doing okay, but public sector are not really paying as well as they should pay. So I'm thinking that's the reason why most people don't like to go into teaching. So is it the same case in Malawi?
Yeah. It is the same case. As you've mentioned, some private schools are doing better, and it's the same thing here. In private schools, in other private schools, the pay is nice. Yeah, people can manage, and it's better than in the private sector. In the private sector, it's not as good, and it doesn't encourage many people to join the teaching sector. Um, in fact, okay, I'll just slot this in here. Um, I'm authoring a book. Um, I titled it from the perspective of a teacher. It does talk about issues like this, about why
Okay.
teaching um, is looked upon as an inferior profession, and that's one of the reasons the pay isn't as good. I believe if the pay was better than it is right now, um, many people would be encouraged to join teaching. Because if I'm to be honest, you ask people at random here if they would like to be a teacher, most of them would say no. And it all goes back to that same aspect. The pay isn't as good. In fact, teaching is one of the least paid jobs here in Malawi.
Yes.
They- Yeah, that is just the honest truth about it. Uh, so do we need more teachers? Yes. I think you asked me that question as well.
Yes.
We do
Agreed.
need more teachers, but at the same time, there is no the compensation or something to attract the people to come into the teaching sector. It's not as attractive as it is in other private schools. So the private sector is really struggles a lot. No, not the private, but the public sector, it really struggles a lot when it comes to the salary. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it looks like teachers' low salary is a global problem. So we'll just leave that to God. Maybe someday someone will revisit the policies that they make. And yes, teachers are the least paid here in Nigeria, not just in Malawi. Okay, for everyone who has joined us, thank you so much for coming to teach your stories. Please leave your comments and questions, and we'll try to answer them. There is a question from Teacher Prep. We'll take that, but I would like Miss Mary to ask her questions, and then we go into management strategies, like the person is asking. So, Miss Mary, over to you, please.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Isaac. From what you've shared, saying that the problem is general in most African countries when it comes to teeth are trash, which is not supposed to be. And we just hope that someone will wake up and like, these things, this profession needs to be taken seriously. All right, so you were talking about some of the challenges teachers face in Malawi. Now, are there teachers in Malawi that are also transiting into the online space? Because here in Nigeria, most teachers here in Nigeria are trying transit into the online space. Now, are there teachers in Malawi that also want to transit or already transiting online to teach, at least just to make more money? Because the motivation factor is the money for teachers. And that's why most teachers in Nigeria want to just transit because they feel it pays them more than staying in the classroom. Do we have teachers like that too in Malawi trying to transit into the
Miss Mary,
online?
Miss Mary,
Yes.
please can you go out of the
Yes.
stage and come back in? We're getting a lot of feedback from you. It's echoing, so your question wasn't very clear, even though I understand what you're trying to ask. So I'll ask the question to Mr. Isaac while you go out and come back. Rejoin us, please.
All right, no problem.
Okay, so Mr. Isaac, are you still with us?
Yeah, and I understood her question as well.
Great.
Barely, but yes, I understood it. So if you don't mind, I can go straight into answering it.
Yes, please. Go on.
Yeah, so I've seen a few online schools pop up in Malawi with the technology boom that is happening everywhere right now. People are finding uh, they're finding that technology can be used to leverage uh, teaching opportunities as well. So we do have several online schools. It's not as as common as in other countries, but I can say that it is coming up. Um, uh, Even I myself, I'm considering it at one point. Yeah, but the online schools are really beginning to surface
Okay.
because most teachers can do this. On top of having a full-time teaching job, they can do online schools at their leisure, which means extra income. Uh,
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
as Miss Mary said, the motivation factor mostly is the money, the income. Let's face
Yes.
it, we all need money to take care of ourselves, our families, and those who depend on us. So online schools are really becoming a thing here. Even though sometimes people just do them on the holidays when students are on the holidays. Uh, a few do carry on through the normal terms, but yeah. So I hope that answers that.
Okay. Miss Mary is joining us again. Miss Mary.
Okay, Javier, can you hear me now?
Okay, so basically we have, yes, we can hear
This
you.
𝗀𝗲𝗰𝗵𝗶.
I think it's better now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so
The
I think I
question
was
I was
just done.
asking
Sorry.
before I left is about teachers. If you have teachers in Malawi trying to transit into the online space just to make more money.
He's still echoing and
Yeah.
he has answered that.
Okay. All right. Okay, so what aspects of Malawi's education system are you proud of as a teacher in Malawi? Is there any aspects of their education that you can boast of?
Things that I'm proud of. Okay, that's kind of a difficult question to answer, and the reason is some of the things I really am proud of when it comes to Malawian education sector. Some of them are beginning to phase out, if you know what I mean. They are being looked at as obsolete, as yeah, as belonging to the olden times and whatnot. But to just mention a few, um, in some cases, in some cases, um, Malawi is becoming open to special needs education, which was problematic for some time. But right now we have special needs school popping up, which allows our friends who maybe have some disabilities and whatnot. So I think I am proud of that because I see we have many teachers being trained specifically in the special needs education sector, which is a very welcome development. So I am really proud of that. Um, One other aspect I can say I am proud of is we used to have cases of cheating mostly in national examinations. Right now, the occurrences of that are very minimal, and in the moments when it does occur, we have had students being made to resit the examinations and whatnot. So we don't have as much leakage of examinations used to be back in the day. So I can say that
Okay.
I am proud of that, even though we still have so much room for development. I'm not gonna stand here and say that our education system is perfect. No, we
Okay.
have a long way to go. Yeah, but I think for now, let me mention these two. The one that I said is becoming obsolete. Um,
Mm-hmm.
is about class discipline. You know,
Okay.
I'm not one to condone cruelty to students, but if I am to say, if I am to stand for one thing as a teacher, that would be be a teacher being able to maintain class discipline. So even though these days it is kind of phasing out, but I love schools where discipline is the norm. Okay, people don't compromise on that discipline issue, no matter who a student is, no matter what their background is. Um, so as I said, um, it is phasing out, but that's one thing I grew up in. Okay, as a student myself back in the day, there was that no nonsense thing in schools. And as I said, not cruelty to students. I don't condone that, but there should be that level of control whenever you're in class as a teacher or
Okay.
school as an institution as a whole. So yeah, I think I'll stop right there.
Okay, so hold on, Mary. Hold on. I was going to ask you if you have stories of malpractice, but you have mentioned there used to be cases like that. Is on the decrease now, right?
Can you repeat the question? I didn't
I
get
was
you
going
there.
to ask you about cases of malpractice. Did you experience or are you experiencing any form of malpractice? Are the children involved in any form of examination malpractice? That's what I was going to ask. But I think you
Yeah, so
mentioned something like that. There's a decrease, and there's a decrease in the exam leakage. So I have a comment here that says, proud of the decrease in exam leakage. It must have taken some intentional teachers to pull that off. So I'm interested in knowing how your school or the teachers were able to at least ensure that there's a decrease in the exam leakage, because we seem to be having that as a big issue here. We're not able to control how exams leak. The previous
uh,
questions before the exam.
um, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be totally honest right there. As much as I do register that decrease, at least in the cases that I've witnessed firsthand, I will not say that we have completely dealt with that. In these
Okay, so
days,
it's in
with the coming
progress.
of
Mm,
technology and whatnot, it's
mhm.
easy to disseminate those things. But I'm really just proud of how those things have been handled in the recent years. We had some time back, we had leakages of a national exam that was already in the progress of being written. So it was called off like completely. The papers had to be revised and remade, reformed, and everything else. So as much as it was a costly operation, but instead of going on with the exam that was already out, that was leaked, the government opted to just reset everything, which was good because it is it does bring in this thing of unfairness if somebody already has paper and whatnot. So yeah, I can say that. I will not say that the leakages don't happen. Um, when they do, they are dealt with accordingly to the point of resitting for the whole exam if that need arises.
Okay. All right.
So
So
I hope
when
that
they
makes sense.
do, yes. So when they do they are made to rewrite the exams. Yes. Okay. So we have someone else from Malawi. Is 𝗵𝗵𝗴𝗀. So please pardon me. So here all the way from Malawi from my brother. You're welcome to the show. Please subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed, and make yourself available to share your story with us so that we can hear more of our fellow educators in Malawi. Miss Mary, do you have another question
All
for
right, so
Mr.
yeah,
Benson?
I have, yeah, I have few more questions for you. All right, so what does the educational system of Malawi looks like? Like in Nigeria now, we have the 6334 educational system, like 6 years in primary school, 3 years in junior secondary, 3 years in senior secondary, and 4 years in the tertiary institution. So, how is the educational system in Malawi? How does it look like?
I didn't get what you said. I think we had some connection problems on your end. But if I understood you properly, you are talking about the systems we have here, as in from primary, then secondary, and whatnot. Is that it?
Yes,
Yes,
that's what
yes,
you
that's what I'm
said.
trying to ask. Yes, that's what I'm trying to ask.
Okay. So I can say that the default system for Malawi is 8 classes in primary school, and then we have 4 classes in secondary school. After that, it's tertiary. But with the coming in
Okay.
of international schools, we do have other variations coming in. We do have the um 6-4 system. Sometimes we have 6 in primary, 6 in secondary, then tertiary. So it's usually around that number. So in total, most of them from primary to secondary school um, are in total 12 classes. That is the most prevalent system in Malawi. So we have what we call the BSLCE, which is primary school, all the way from standards 1 to 8. And then we have what we call the MSCE, JCE, um, which is forms 1 and 2, and then MSCE forms 3 and 4 in the secondary school. So those are the systems we have
Oh,
in Malawi.
okay, that means your JSCE 1 and 2 is like the Nigeria junior secondary school, while the other two is like the Nigerian senior secondary school. But it's
Yeah.
8 years in primary school. Yeah,
Yes.
altogether it's 12 years. Okay, I think it's
Yeah.
in Nigeria too, we actually have the 12 years in Nigeria too for the tertiary institution. Okay, that's quite fine. So, how is professional development for teachers in Malawi? How is it? Like
Okay. Let's
for
see.
private school now? Okay, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
can hear you. Continue.
Okay. You're asking about the professional development, as in teacher training and whatnot.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Um, I must say that we do have huge improvements in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
Previously, teachers would simply be required to have certificates. You see, not looking down on those, but mostly it was just uh, in general. You'd go train as a teacher, and then you'd be a general teacher, and everything else on a certificate. But right now, most teaching jobs are requiring degrees, which a little bit more specified. So the caliber of teachers, I'll talk about the development aspect, not the people themselves. Uh, Teacher development wise, I can say that there are some huge step ups in, in, in the fact that teachers are now usually most times, not every time, but most times required to have either a degree or at least a diploma. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about the people themselves. I'm just looking at the system itself. So we have some huge development in that area. It's better than it used to be. Are the people better? That I'll leave it up to to personal experience and speculation, because we do have a mix. You can have a good teacher development system, but the people inside the system are really not into teaching. It's not their passion. So no matter how good you train them, they will not turn out to be good teachers. Well, in some cases, I've seen other teachers who might seemingly have inferior qualifications, but once they step into the classroom, they're amazing teachers. So yeah, we do have that variance right there.
Okay.
Please
So,
always
do
keep
you
the
have
mic
it?
in. Is Mary? Is Mary? Hold on, please, Mr. Isaac. Please raise the mic up so we could hear you.
Okay. Do I need to repeat anything?
Yes. I think we heard you clearly.
Okay.
Did
That's
you hear
okay.
him?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we apologize for all the echoes. I'm also getting the feedback whenever Miss Mary speaks. I'm getting a lot of echoes. So we apologize for all the feedbacks, all the echoes. I'm guessing maybe because we are trying to connect with, Mr. Isaac. He's in Malawi, and the network isn't very smooth today. So sorry about all the glitches. But I do hope that this particular section is enlightening and we're able to get something out of today's conversation. So far, we've talked about the education system in Malawi, and it's not completely different from what we have here. I was thinking because it's not Nigeria, we'll have some, different stories, something fantastic or more fantastic than what we have here. But apparently, it seems like teachers go through similar challenges no matter where they find themselves. So one of the questions I'm interested in asking is how are students' attitude to learning? Are they sometimes unruly? Like we have some students who could come up with different kind of attitude to class. You are speaking to them, they are speaking back at you. They won't do their homework. They get their older friends to come fight the teachers. I see this a lot in my school. By the way, my school is a public school, so they get their older brothers or they get their friends to come fight teacher in school, and stuff like that. Do you experience these things there in Malawi? How are the attitudes of the students?
If I am to be totally honest, which I intend to be, by the way,
Please.
the attitude is hugely divided. We do have amazing students. I have worked with amazing students that have never given me a problem. You know, students
Yeah.
that are always apt to learn, always open to direction and instruction. You tell them do this, they do it, and they perform good on top of that. Um, but I must say, as the years go by, uh, that number of students is decreasing. At least in my case, my experience, the percentage of unruly students is increasing. Which takes me back to the point I raised that there are some things to do with Malawian education that I am proud of, even though they are fading away, which is about the discipline and control of students. You know, these days, students, I feel like they are given too much freedom. You know, too much freedom to an extent where sometimes teachers aren't allowed to punish students, even if they are being unruly. You know, a student is causing disruptions in class. In some cases, you can't send them out, even if it means they're disturbing everybody else. You know, um, I feel like students these days have too much access to the internet and technology, which on their own, those things aren't necessarily bad, but there's just this unrestricted access to social media and whatnot, where students learn behaviors that are not really conducive for learning. So what happens is they bring such behavior into the classroom setting now. See, so we have had a rise in disciplinary cases, you know, to the point where students can have burnt schools before, you know. um, should be last year there was a week in which not less than two schools were burnt in Malawi.
By
Not less
students?
than two
Students
schools
burnt
were
the
burnt in Malawi.
schools.
Hello, can
The
you hear me?
students burned the school.
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
Mr. Isaac, we can hear you. I wanted to be sure I heard you
Okay, so
correctly. Did you say the students burnt the school?
uh-huh.
You push me. Mr. Isaac, are you still there?
I think
Seem to have an
his network. Yes, he's having a
yes,
network.
but maybe did you hear that part? Did you say the students burnt the school?
Yes, I heard something like that. Two schools or so.
Two schools, yes. The students burnt
Sorry,
two
I
schools
had the
down.
network.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a
And
network
we are here
problem there.
complaining about yes, Mr. Isaac, welcome back. Go on with your
Yeah.
story, please.
Okay, so we've had cases like that where schools have been burnt down. Others have almost been burnt down because of students. Um, it's like, in my observation at least, I don't know if any other teacher experiences this here, but as I've said, given too much freedom, you know. As I said, I don't condone cruelty to students, you know. There is a level of punishment that should be acceptable. There is a level of punishment that is just not acceptable when it comes to dealing with students. But um, these days, even that minimal control teachers used to have is being taken away from them, you know, to the extent where teachers are afraid to discipline a student because of the repercussion they might get. Sometimes even people who are supposed to be backing teachers, like administrators, the government, those are the first, you know, to kind of um, breathe down those teachers' necks, to kind of uh, take away that control from them. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, but
Yes, it
um,
does.
yeah. So I must say that that is a problem. We have rising cases of indisciplinary actions, you know, unruly behavior.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow. So I'm just thinking so students can get too upset and then they get up, plan to burn the school down, and they actually do burn the school down. I don't think I've heard about schools being burned down here. I stand to be corrected, but it seems like an extreme case. So, do you have some sort of a union that protects teachers in your country? Like we have the National Union of Teachers or something like that. The NUT is supposed to be a body that protects interests of teachers. So, do you have anything of that nature there?
I must say that now we do have a teachers union. We used to have them, but they were not that prevalent. As in, uh,
Okay.
not many people joined. You know, um, I think because people just didn't see the benefit of being in teacher unions. But right now we do have a teacher union, TCM, Teachers Council of Malawi, and these days
Okay.
it is a must for any teacher to have a license from them before they can go into a class to teach. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not in operation perfectly yet, but I can say that for the most part right now, especially in the urban areas and whatnot, it is beginning to take root. And we hope, in my case, since I'm a fairly new teacher, I can say I can talk much on the benefits of what they have done so far. I would lie if I were to go down that path, but we hope to see good things from this uh, teachers' council.
Okay. I
Yeah.
do hope they come up with good things too. So when the schools are burnt, what does the government do? Isn't there some sort of policy to protect their facilities from getting burnt? Or are they okay with the students burning them down?
No, I don't believe any sane government would be okay with students burning down schools. It's the problem is um now I must thank God that that hasn't happened at any school I've taught so far. Those
Okay.
cases of students burning down schools have happened at other schools, but you know how mob justice can be, um, when students are in a mob and there's that energy right there, which is so infectious and whatnot, it it can and has caused some students to go to that extreme where they can burn schools. But the government doesn't condone that, you know. Education is expensive. Building those structures doesn't come cheap. So when the perpetrators are caught, um, they are prosecuted accordingly. I don't know to what extent they are punished, but um, I think in some cases I've heard about being dismissed and whatnot and everything else like that. Yeah, but no sane government would be okay with school burning. That's just not acceptable in any region. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac, for sharing some of the challenges you're facing over there. We do hope that someday someone will watch this video and try to work towards bringing some form of change in Malawi, even though, although we are also, crying out about the challenges we face here. So hopefully we would see some change in education system in Africa and around the world. In our next teacher stories, we are going to have someone from a different part of the world. He's going to be telling us stories about, what he's facing over there. So the aim is so that we are able to share what we are facing, and hopefully we will begin to see some form of change. We face similar challenges with you, although our students haven't started burning down facilities. Okay, so let me take you back to when we were talking about if some of your teachers are now involved in online tutoring. We have a comment here that says we should remember that more money is also more work and demands extra skills. We need to be prepared to put in the work. I do hope that your teachers are putting in the work, especially the ones who are transiting into online tutoring, because we are looking for other sources of income. Is similar to us here in Nigeria. Um, we are gradually rounding this up because Mr. Isaac is an hour ahead of us, and is going to be getting dark in the area where he is. So we're almost rounding up. So let's go over to the comments I've been saving till now. It says 80 something students is a lot. Could we share some classroom management strategies, please? Okay, so she is referring to when we had talked about the number of students in our classrooms. I had said that um, I also had 85 students in my classroom. Okay, so hold on. Mr. Ramesh, welcome. I can see you, and you are complaining about the sound issues. We are sorry about that. I don't know if it's because of our connections with our Malawian tutor, because it's echoing from my end, it's echoing from Miss Mary's end, and we're all not in the same location. So please bear with us. Maybe after the show, you can try and go watch it again. Hopefully, it won't echo so badly. Okay, so Mr. Isaac, let's wrap this up. How are you able to manage 85 students in a class and then you had like two or three other classes? What strategy did you use so that everyone is carried along?
Um, I think what I can say in brief is this. In my case, it took experience. I must say that in my early years as a teacher, I did run into a lot of problems in managing my class. I'm going to say that teaching requires not just skills in teaching, but you have to have a level of grit, and you really have to know who you are, because those students can test you. They can test your limits. But as I progressed in my teaching career, it was all about not being harsh necessarily, but making the students understand you are in charge of the class. If a student would get way out of line in my class, I would send them out. I would rather the others learn and have one student go out of the class than have that one student disturb my class. You see, sometimes I think that's what it takes. Because if you talk to a student several times about the same thing, but they don't change, I don't think it's worth keeping them in there. Maybe sending them out would give them a little bit more sense, you know. So I would do that. And it's about, if you set rules as a teacher, stick to those rules. Because if you begin to compromise, it gives the students some leeway to test your limits. You see? So I think it's about that. And quickly, I don't know if this is okay. I hope you don't mind. There was a comment that said more man requires more skills, and yes, I do agree with that one as well. I
Yes.
agree, and I'm not gonna sit here and say that all the teachers I've met um, are
They're
really passionate
skilled.
about the profession.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's something I actually am writing about in my book. Teaching shouldn't be only left to those who are considered the runt of the litter in courts. Yeah. So you do need the skills. You don't need not just the knowledge, but know how to get that knowledge across to the students in a way that is effective. So yes, I agree with that comment. So to not make it too long, I think I'll stop right there.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Isaac. Okay, Miss Mary, you have one last question, please, so that we can wrap this up. It's getting dark where Mr. Isaac is.
Okay, all right. Mr. Isaac, thank you for your time. But before you go, so if a teacher from Nigeria wanted to visit Malawi and observe their classrooms, what is one thing you want? What is one thing you think would surprise the teacher or inspire them?
Um, I hope I caught that question okay, because I was really having a hard time hearing you. But if you meet the right teacher in Malawi, I would say that there's some great educators here. You know, I've seen people who really give teaching their all. And despite of all the negatives I might have spoken about, you get into some classes and you do feel the love a teacher has for their students. You know, because it goes beyond just having the knowledge. You know, you must have the passion. Teaching is more than just disseminating knowledge. It's about learning to handle some of the situations that the students have and the problems they come with. So there are some teachers who are just able not to just teach, but to be able to help students to get into the right frame of mind for
Mhm.
learning. So I think that's the biggest takeaway that you
Yeah.
might get. Yeah.
Wow, that's quite
Okay.
impressive.
Thank you, Miss Mary. Okay, so one last comment here says, thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. Your thoughts on discipline in our classrooms resonate with me. Authority is unacceptable, but the teacher's authority must be established and respected by the learners. Absolutely. We agree that you can be firm, but do not abuse your position as a teacher and go overboard with whatever discipline it is you want to met out to children who are unruly. Try to be compassionate while you do these things, because these people are also humans, and it comes with the age, right? Some certain age they behave, I think it's hormonal, I wouldn't know. And the teenagers are acting up. Yes. So that age, you have to learn to be able to carry them, along, correct them as you should. If you have to, punish, you don't do it like you want to kill the child. Now, for my strategy, I had mentioned that I had taught 85 students in the class. It wasn't easy because I was just a new teacher and I wasn't passionate about the job at the time. But what I did was to group them, put them in different groups, share the topics. So each day we have a group teaching the class and we are learning along. So everybody has something to say in class. So everybody goes home, they go do their research and then they come back and we're learning. I'm asking questions, they're answering questions, and the other people who aren't teaching are fascinated, and are prepared, to come to school the next day. So that way you are able to carry everybody. It's a whole lot. And then you have to do this for three other arms, but we're able to work through it. It's even more difficult where you have to mark the scripts. That's where you have the difficult part. Honestly, when I get those scripts, especially during the exams, I bring them home, I share it amongst my kids. I tell them to mark only the objective parts, right? I give them the answers and they're helping me because it's a whole lot. Mary, you're supposed to do that mathematics for me. 85 times 3 is what? So you have 85 students in each arm, and you expect one teacher to be able to finish marking in 2, 3 days, and then we are back entering, the results. So I try and I give it out to my kids. They mark the OBJ, they return everything to me. I sit down and I mark the essay part, and then so that's my strategy. But in class, everybody is involved. I share them into groups, give them different topics that we're supposed to learn in the term, and each time we come to class, some group is teaching us, and I'm asking questions. People who aren't doing that particular topic are asking questions, and that's where everybody is carried along. Otherwise, some people will be lost because sometimes I find some of them hiding under the decks. If I move around the class, some students are under the decks. I'm like, why are you under the decks? Why are you not learning? It's really not easy to manage that type of class, but we do our best because, of course, you want everybody to learn, and you're not a teacher that would want your students to fail. So thank you, Miss Mary. Thank you, Mr. Isaac. Usually we
Thank you
wrap up
very much.
teacher stories. We wrap up teacher stories with Mr. Isaac telling us one last thing you would like us to take away today. Okay, you have said that. So what is your final words for us today?
Um, I hope you still can see me. My final word is that uh, for Malawi, we have so much potential to do good as educators. The room is there. The room is there. It's
Yeah.
just that teachers need to be given that opportunity, that platform. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think teaching should be looked down upon as an inferior profession,
Yeah.
because literally every other profession does depend on teachers and instructors. You know, so
Yes.
that's just the truth. We need teachers in almost every profession. So a little bit more consideration would go a long way. At the same time, my message to my fellow teachers is um, we mustn't compromise. You know, sometimes other people treat teaching as a stepping stone to greener pastures, but that doesn't mean we should do half-baked work in the name of seeking greener pastures. If you
Yeah.
can't teach, if you feel you can't give your best to students, I suggest it's best to not teach at all, because you the students hang their futures on every word you say, on every action you do in relation to their education. So if we do half-baked work, we don't just hurt institutions, but we hurt um, the lives of the students holistically. You know, the effects might not come at that point in time, but later on they begin to show up. So my advice to teachers is let's give it our all. If we have to teach, let us not compromise. you know.
Yeah.
Um, at the same time, if any students are listening to this, the same thing goes to them as well. If they want to learn, fine. If they don't want to learn, it's better to say so than to disturb the understanding, than to disturb the lessons of so many other students. you know and to the
Yeah.
government, if they are listening to this, mostly policymakers sit behind desks.
Oh, Miss Isaac, we've lost you again.
In class, well, they act. So I hope you can hear me.
Okay.
Sorry. So I was
Now I
saying
can hear you.
mostly policymakers are behind desks in their offices. I'll be corrected if
Yeah.
I'm wrong, but that's my observation. So they make policies that work on paper, but you bring them on the ground and they don't work. You know, should be people who are on the ground, who know what it means to be a citizen,
Oh, Mr. Isaac, you're having a lot of glitches now. Okay, keep on sharing. Thank you, Mr. Ramesh. Mr. Isaac, are you back? No, he's not. Okay, if you can't give your best to students, don't teach at all. Thank you, Mr. Isaac. That's from Miss Joyce. Thank you, Miss Joyce. Thank you to everyone who has come on the show. Um, please give your best if you're a teacher. If you can't give your best, then don't teach at all. And students, if you really want to learn, do say so. That's what Mr. Isaac said. Learn, sit in class and learn. If you don't want to learn, don't burn down the facility so that other people who would want to learn can learn. Okay? Mr. Isaac is back again. Hello, Mr. Isaac.
Yeah, so I
Yes, we
ran
are
into
wrapping.
some
We are
network
wrapping.
problems there.
Yes, we are wrapping this up already. I was just reading this comment, and you were not here. It says, "If you can't give your best to students, don't teach at all." Thank you, Mr. Isaac. That's one of the things that you said, and I also reiterated that if students want to learn, exactly what you said. If you want to learn, stay in class and learn. If you do not want to learn, do not burn down
Yeah.
the facilities, so that other people who want to learn can learn. So thank you so much, Mr. Ike. I really do appreciate your time with us here on Teacher Stories. I must say I have learned a lot. Something stuck with me though. You said they had called, I think maybe the promise section stanza one or something. And I'm like, when was the
Yes.
last time I heard the word stanza?
Standard.
That's so cool. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Mary. Thank you, Mr. Icy. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. If you are yet to subscribe to this channel, please do subscribe to this channel. Like Mr. Isaac said, a little more consideration will go a long way. Other professions depend on the teaching profession. So, of course, we do need people considering the work that we do, and we do need to be paid for the work that we do. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. Good night, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you for having me.
Haji. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.